pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is by definition a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Berquam.
Right up over this hill, yellow arm cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Let's feel good, doesn't it?
America's Voice Live starts now.
Welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gruber. It is Monday, the 9th of March. It is the year of our Lord 2026. Let's get to the day's top stories. As always, thank you for joining me here on Real America's Voice. I do appreciate it. Federal authorities are investigating a possible terrorism incident in New York after two suspects threw improvised explosive devices, at least that's the way they looked, and turned out to be live, at a protest near Gracie Mansion. That's where the governor lives. I'll discuss that in more detail and the issue of future attacks here in America. Also, 5 years after a 2020 Arizona GOP-led election investigation concluded there were no significant irregularities, the FBI is now conducting a criminal probe in Maricopa County. We'll have details on that coming your way, and then later. The global markets are reacting to the war in the Middle East as oil prices surged, causing falling around the globe, and that's exactly where I want to start for today. Global financial markets have slid sharply as oil prices surged to nearly $120 a barrel overnight, amid the escalating conflict in the Middle East, sparking fears of higher inflation and economic strain. The spike in energy costs has pressured stocks around the world, with major indices in the U.S., Europe, and Asia all falling. The jump in oil has dampened hopes of rate cuts and highlighted broader concerns about lasting inflationary pressures and slower growth. Now, this could spell bad news for the GOP in the midterms, which is why it requires our immediate attention today. Joining me to discuss this is the CEO of Ricky Rocket's Fuel Centers, Prairie State Energy, and GOP primary candidate for Illinois governor, Rick Heidner. Rick, nice to see you today.
Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on.
I appreciate it. Look, in doing my homework, here's what I discovered. We do not have a supply and demand problem. We have great reserves of oil and gasoline currently and globally. And yet somehow the oil companies overnight pushed the price of oil to $120 a barrel. It's now slid back to $94 a barrel, but it is frankly indefensible mathematically speaking from where I stand. Now, I'm no expert, you are. What are we seeing here?
Well, you know, this seems to happen every time there's some kind of a conflict or some kind of a something that goes on with a tanker or whatnot. And there's always a knee-jerk reaction. It always spikes way too high, and then it comes down. I think that the world oil market and the United States oil market should be doing everything they can to support our president that's trying to, neutralize, the Middle East and make it so that we have a safe generational access instead of someone like Iran and their regime using oil as a terrorist tool. So for me, especially when I saw it go to $119 this morning, and I see that it's calmed down to $94.75. But they really need to be, I think, more respectful to the president. I really expect him to call them out soon if they don't do something to be more realistic.
Yeah, it seems to me $94.77. So it's below 95. It's fading throughout the day. Still up for the 24-hour period. But look, to me, my guess is with this kind of manipulation, because that's what this is. This is speculation, manipulation, and panic playing into this market, or perceived panic. There's no real problem with the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, the traffic is stopped by about 90%, but oil tankers are not being sunk. The strait is not closed. And let's be honest, it's still just 20% of the world's oil. And we only get 4% of our oil from the Middle East, my understanding. So, yes, I think the president should call out the oil companies that will likely post record profits because of a stunt like this. Your thoughts?
Well, it's definitely happened in the past when we've had tragedies, and then when they report their earnings, they're off the charts, records. And to me, it's unbelievably disappointing for the world right now, or especially for us here in the United States. I mean, we need to really prop up our president with this, who's not going to back down. I mean, the biggest tragedy that we could ever have is for us, and believe me, I don't believe he'll ever do it, would be for him to make a mistake like we did in Iraq, and then 12 years from now have one of his sons fix it. So I don't want to see that happen. I don't believe for 1 second it'll happen. And I really, really want to support our president and make sure that he understands. For our stations, we're just trying to not raise the price as little as we can, so that the people here aren't suffering with what's going on in the market.
Right. You own the majority of your stations are in Illinois. You own one in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So you sell gasoline. You're involved intimately in this situation. And every time oil spikes a little, gas goes way up, and then it's real slow going down. I mean, I've heard people complain about this my entire life, Rick. They're like, why did my gas prices go up so far? I was talking to somebody yesterday. They saw gas at $6.79 in California yesterday outside of San Diego. I mean, that's unconscionable. Now, I realize in California, a lot of that has to do with taxes and so forth. But Illinois is a high-tax state. Michigan's a high-tax state where I live. And so we get punished even more than others when the price goes up. It's time to stop these games. Now, I don't know what that means, Rick. I don't know how you reel in these energy companies, but this is a money grab. But you also pointed out something else very important. It's also, in my opinion, the globalists trying to kneecap Trump because they don't like him, because he's restructuring the order, not just of oil, but of economic order in the world. They don't like it, do they?
Well, I want to address that if you don't mind, and I'm sorry we're going to jump around a little bit, but I'd like to see a Democratic candidate run on something other than Trump, 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 okay? All I ever hear on all these commercials is every single Democratic candidate coming on saying how they're going in the office to fight Trump. What is wrong with these people? Where are their policies? Well, they're failed policies. That's the problem. So they can't run on policies. So this is the only thing that they have to run on. And shame on them. Shame on them, because this man is trying to stop terrorism. Terrorism in these people's own countries. They're terrorizing their own citizens. I can't imagine what it'd be like to go out of my door every single day and be scared to death, and be scared to death of something I said or something that I believed in. Unfortunately here in Illinois, we're getting closer and closer to that. And I don't want it to be that way.
Yeah, I think your governor there, J.B. Pritzker, is going to take all the wonderful things he's done for Illinois and try to take it on the road and become president. I think that's almost a certainty. But Illinois, not exactly a showpiece of how policy should be implemented, is it?
Well, I'm running here because I can't even believe he's running for a third term. And if he wants to take the road show on and go on Jimmy Kimmel and these Colbert and all that, and again, all he's screaming is Trump, Trump, Trump. Somebody that the Democrats want to hear is all he says. As far as I'm concerned, he's ruined our state, and now he wants to ruin our country.
Yeah, you know, I just saw a brand new poll from NBC, Rick. Shows that, believe it or not, despite the best efforts of the legacy media, the Democrats have much lower ratings of approval than Republicans today. So if the Democrats are taking their victory lap in March, it's real early. I don't know how Iran's going to play out. I don't know what's going to happen with the regime there. It's terrorized the region and the world for 47 years. But my position at the beginning of this conflict was that Donald Trump wasn't starting a war. He's putting an end to one after 47 years. We need to clean these things up and bring stable governments to the Middle East. If the Middle East were stable and you didn't have these ongoing skirmishes and wars with Israel and Iran and Iraq and Syria and all of this, the world would be a better place. And you mentioned the citizens of Iran being murdered by the thousands, tens of thousands by their own government. America stands for human rights. We always have. And we've always interceded when we saw populations being attacked. I think that's an important thing to consider as well, isn't it?
Well, you know what? This is not a war on Iran. This is a rescue of Iran. That's what it is. President Trump is rescuing the citizens of Iran. And we'll see it after we win this conflict. And we'll interview when the people of Iran can actually speak. And I have friends here that are Iranians, and they tell me, and I've reached out to them, and they are so happy. They are wanting their country to be free. They actually would love to go back to their home countries to visit without being in fear. So this is a rescue, Steve. This is not a war. This is a rescue.
Yeah, it certainly is. And speaking of rescue, and this is where I just feel the whole Western world has gone soft in the head. The women's soccer team from Iran, currently competing in Australia, they refused to salute or sing the Iranian national anthem when it came time. They've been branded war traitors by the regime in Iran, and yet the nation of Australia is fully considering sending them back to Iran, where it's a certain death penalty for them because they snubbed the Islamic regime there. What is wrong with these people? This is the women's soccer team. They will be executed for not singing the national anthem if they go back. Donald Trump says, if you won't take them, Mr. Prime Minister, we will. Another gesture of what needs to be done, right?
I was just going to say, our president will fly out there, pick them up, and bring them to the White House. I believe that 100%. How could you possibly let these poor children, these poor women, go back there and be executed? And they will be. I agree with you 100%. They have no respect for their own women anyway, let alone women that stand up for themselves.
Yeah, they'll have none of that. I mean, we saw the young woman who took off her hijab and was executed for that in the streets of Tehran. That was a couple of years ago, that young woman in her teens. Rick, what's it going to take for you to secure the nomination to run for governor in Illinois? When's the primary? How long is this race going to be before you have a chance to run for governor itself?
So the primary is on March the 17th, this next Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. You know, I'm trying to have everybody go and look at my website, rickforillinois.com, read about me, read about all the candidates. Everyone should spend an hour to an hour and a half on each candidate. Everything that I want to do here is for the state. Nothing's for me. I really, really want to come in here and I want to fix all of this. I want Illinois to be a safe state. I want to take our state of they're doing nothing but taking as much as they can, and I want to make it a state of making money and bringing businesses here. So I hope people can find me and see me and read about me and vote for me and give me the chance to do everything I'm saying I'm going to do, because I am going to fight so hard to make our state a great state again, because we're in a beautiful area. We're the apple of the Midwest, and we should be where everybody's been wanting to come instead of everybody wanting to leave.
Well, it is a red state except for Cook County primarily. Rick Heidner, greatly appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, Steve. You have a wonderful day, and God bless America. Please, President Trump, don't give up here. Just finish this so that that region is safe and stabilization comes to us for decades or generations.
There you go. Yes, sir. Thank you, Rick. All right, coming up after the break, I'll discuss the thwarted terror attack we saw over the weekend in New York City, all caught on, smartphones and so forth. What do we have to do to keep America safe from terror attacks from both the outside and obviously from the inside, too? We'll discuss that coming up with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West after the break.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. G and others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Birch Gold Group and Patriot Mobile.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful, Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here. Hi, this is Chris from Colorful, Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
I'm sure you have seen some of the videos coming out of New York City. Federal authorities there investigating a terrorism incident in the city after a pair of suspects threw improvised explosive devices during a protest near Gracie Mansion. Suspects Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi were taken into custody. Investigators stated that the devices were packed with materials like nuts, bolts, screws, and nails, along with a canister filled with chemicals. These were nail bombs and can be very dangerous. Here it is. Here's the guy, lights it. Look at the police right there, just as I described, jumps the fence and runs down and throws it into the crowd before being arrested. Federal agents have since served search warrants in New Jersey and Pennsylvania regarding the case, which is being handled by federal authorities in the Bureau of Investigation's Joint Terrorism Task Force. The suspects reportedly yelled pro-ISIS remarks and Allahu Akbar while in custody and were affiliated with ISIS, which brings concerns about future terror attacks, especially from the inside through the use of sleeper cells or lone wolves or a pair of wolves or whatever. Joining me to discuss is the national security analyst, Dr. Rebecca Grant. Doctor, nice to see you today. You've seen the footage, you've seen the video. I'm saddened by this, but I'm not surprised. Look, we don't know who came through the southern border. These are homegrown, but we don't know who came through the southern border. We don't know who's here that's homegrown terrorists that have been, turned into this kind of would-be killer. If those bombs had gone off, very good chance people would have died. I mean, it landed at the feet of people in the crowd. And you see here, he runs at the cops, jumps the fence, and away he goes. What are your concerns about domestic terrorism after seeing this and what happened in Austin, Texas here a week ago?
It is shocking and scary, and NYPD does such a good job there. But the fact is, we were lucky that they ignited that and they hadn't made the bomb correctly. It didn't go off. We know these two very young men radicalized, and their intent was to cause more casualties than the Boston Marathon bombing of back in 2013. The device is very similar in including, bolts and screws and other things that like a big shotgun charge. It would have been potentially devastating if this stuff had gone off. So, of course, what are we concerned about? How did these people get in? How did they get radicalized? What was the online role of that? I think one of them said that he had been inspired, in his words, by watching ISIS propaganda online. Then, you also got to think who's come across the southern border that might be a little bit better at making explosives. And then, of course, we're hearing in a different part, ISIS and Iran are two different sets of problems. But Iran, of course, has put out its call for its so-called sleeper cells, which would be run by the IRGC, to go ahead globally and try to create problems. It comes back to the fact that we've got some great counterterrorism vigilance, and wow, are those men and women working hard right now to keep us safe.
It's believed by people that know that the best counterterrorism law enforcement agency in America is the NYPD. Following 9/11, they became very serious about it and became very skilled at finding these terrorists. This one slipped through, obviously. And look, none of us, Doctor, would be surprised to see something like this again today or tomorrow or any time in the near future. We wouldn't be surprised to see other attacks like we saw in Austin, Texas. And I guess my only advice is to be vigilant, to be situationally aware, because this is the state of things today, isn't it?
It is, and this is the very toughest kind to get of the individuals. These individuals were in New York less than an hour. They crossed the bridge and did this. And, the NYPD said they had really been aware because there was going to be a protest and a counter protest. And to them, that is a red flag situation, either of violence or, in this case, of individuals taking the opportunity, target of opportunity, to go ahead and do that. And that's what's so difficult versus a sort of a long planned operation where there's a lot of cyber indications. The big indicator, of course, with these gentlemen was that they had traveled, at least one of them had traveled abroad. And traveling to learn bomb making is sort of a signature of ISIS explosive attacks that we've seen here in the U.S. and in other countries over the past 10 years. So I think we're going to have to ramp up the vigilance on that travel to try to get these radicalized young men.
Yeah, and how do we get the attention of the Democrats who still have the Department of Homeland Security shut down, defunded? Same with the Coast Guard and TSA at a most critical time when, alert levels are elevated, extremely elevated in some places, and yet Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, say they are not going to fund DHS. This is reckless, is it not?
Well, and Chuck Schumer, of course, of New York, Hakeem Jeffries of New York. This, DHS is part of our frontline defense. DHS is part of security writ large. Just as we would not be shutting down the Department of War at a time like this, we should not be shutting down DHS for really, frankly, for political reasons that make no sense when we're talking about protecting all types of Americans. All kinds of Americans were in that crowd around Gracie Mansion. We want everybody protected, and I can't believe that these politicians don't see the urgency of that at this point.
It's pretty shameful. I'll just use that adjective. Doctor, always a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, after the break, the FBI recently seized election records from Arizona's largest county as the agency's voting probe expands. Remember when they told you there was nothing to see here? Well, we're going to find out more details coming up next on AVL.
At Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorado. I'm Drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here. Hi, this is Chris from Colorado. I'm Drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
All right, 5 years after a 220 Arizona GOP-led election investigation concluded there were no significant irregularities, the FBI now conducting a criminal probe into Maricopa County. According to John Solomon at Just the News, the FBI is receiving gigabytes of electronic election data now. Solomon spoke with War Room this morning, describing the documents as explosive. Here he is.
The focus in this grand jury subpoena that went in the last few days to Maricopa County, seized many gigabytes of election data, is the 2024 election, which is interesting because President Trump won there. But there is a discovery that was made by congressional observers. Every year, the House Administration Committee sends observers, one Democrat, one Republican, to various voting centers. One of the teams, the Republican-Democrat team that went to Maricopa County, observed observed something very disturbing. They took pictures. They wrote a long report. Congressman Abe Hamadeh hinted at this in an oversight letter recently. The information in that report was so troubling to the FBI, and when coupled to the things that the Arizona Senate found in 2020 that were raised as concerns, and the things that Hamadeh and Kari Lake raised in 2022, they were able to get a grand jury subpoena from a federal grand jury and execute the transmission of a large amount of voter data. They're going to go through that data looking for some of the telltale signs that were in this congressional report. I hope in the next couple of days to make that congressional report public so everybody can see.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here with what John Solomon is doing at Just the News right now. I strongly suggest you keep up with him there. There are indications from John and others that it was never Russia interfering with our election process, but rather the Chinese. We've talked about in this program for the last few weeks, giving you some breadcrumbs on this. But he said this is a 5-phase look at states not following election law, and prosecutions may be forthcoming. We'll keep you updated as more develops. That is for sure, because John's on top of it. At today's annual U.S. Hostage and Wrongful Detainee Day ceremony, Secretary Marco Rubio honored Americans held abroad, including in Iran, which he called a state sponsor of wrongful detention. The Secretary vowed the U.S. won't stop until everyone is home. Listen to this.
Today we honor those who are still waiting. It celebrates those who returned, and it remembers those whose homecoming came sadly and tragically in a different way. But our mission, even as we remember and honor those from the past, our mission is forward-looking. We believe in homecomings. We work for homecomings. And under the President's leadership, we will not stop until every single unjustly detained American is brought home.
And there you have it, Marco Rubio, who, by the way, in the sweepstakes, the early sweepstakes, to be the next Republican nominee for president, it is he and J.D. Vance that are running pretty tight, neck and neck, in fact. And so Marco Rubio, with his time as a Secretary of State, Director of National Intelligence, and, of course, a multi-term senator, his resume is pretty strong. J.D. Vance, as the vice president currently, liked by many. I don't know who's going to come out on top of that. We're a long way away from that, obviously, but those are your two top candidates, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. What are your thoughts? Send me an email at stevegruber.com. Love to know what your thoughts are. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns filed every year but still keep owing? Retired and got hit with a surprise tax bill? Are you a business owner with a tax bill you just cannot afford to pay? Did you take early money from your 401k and now you owe on that? Man, it's just a list. However your tax issue started, results the same. Your balance is not going down. Penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again this year with no plan in place. And why not? Stop what you're doing. Call Tax Network USA. The IRS can garnish wages, levy bank accounts, even take your home or retirement. It's true. With over 15 years in business, they've seen it all, helping taxpayers nationwide settle over $1 billion in tax debt. All you have to do is call 800-905-8000. 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. tnusa.com/RAV. Coming up after the break, I'll discuss how the global markets are reacting to the surge in oil prices that have since cooled. Is there any reason to be concerned? Long term, that is. I'll discuss that after the break.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner Furst has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
It was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy. It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone.
We discussed earlier in the program, oil surged to nearly $120 a barrel as Operation Epic Fury continues against the Iranian regime. It's now back to about $94 as a few moments ago. As oil surges, there's no doubt the global markets will react fairly quickly, which would hurt the GOP as the midterms inch ever closer. Joining to discuss the reaction of the global markets is the host of the Heartland Journal podcast and author of Songs About the Heartland, Steve Abramowitz. Steve, thank you for being here.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. How'd I do? Got it, didn't I?
Nailed it.
Just want to make sure. I nailed it. At any rate, let's talk about this. The oil spiked to almost $120 a barrel in the middle of the night, right? It's now back to about $94 as of a few moments ago. There is no mathematical reason for this to be happening. We have a large supply of gas and oil. We have reserves that are tremendous. The United States only gets 4% of its oil from the Middle East. And by the way, we're now seeing that ships are flowing again in the Strait of Hormuz. This was a money grab, in my estimation, that was manipulated by the oil companies that will have a big profit on this deal, a huge profit. They're going to get a windfall off that because it was false. It wasn't real. There's no mathematical reason for it. Supply and demand has not been affected at all by this war in Iran 10 days on. I mean, you go from $67 to $120. No, sir, that's rigged. Your thoughts?
Well, I have to point to Japan. They're the number 4 economy in the world. They hold over $1 trillion of our debt, and their interest rates have shot higher. The Bank of Japan Deputy Governor Himino, he said the central bank is expected to keep raising interest rates because inflation is hurting them. The thing is, they're an island and they have to import all of their resources. And so if the strait's closed, their economy has to pay $150. Some say it could get to $150 a barrel, not just America. So that, I believe, is really the demand supply equation, more so even than America, since we do have a drained yet still available strategic oil reserve. Japan doesn't.
Yeah. And you're right. The Central Bank of Japan, the yen, having real difficulties now. Nobody's talking about that, but real difficulties now. They have a tremendous amount of money tied up in America. And if you try to unwind that, well, it could unwind Japan and other economies around the world. That part's true, isn't it?
Yeah, the fear is that they sell the treasuries that they own to pay for these imports, which would obviously drive our interest rates much higher, which would halt our housing market, our housing development market. I saw Southern California, the $8 a gallon oil, takes $100 to fill a Kia, making it really hard for people to get to work. Retail trade is like $5.3 trillion annually of our GDP. So the ripple effect would be dramatic in America, regardless of the cost of oil.
Well, California did it themselves. I feel little sympathy for a state that has imposed taxes, fees, and other regulations on its motor vehicles. Look, the cost of oil, whether it's $100 a barrel or 120 or 80, doesn't matter. The cost of a barrel of oil in the world market's the cost of a barrel of oil. And yet, California is routinely double the price of the rest of the country. That's because California has bad policies. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And Chevron's getting out of there after 120 years. My old state of Washington has the highest gas prices in the whole state in the country because of bad policies. But this doesn't help, especially in middle America where the oil is needed for manufacturing. And in the age of artificial intelligence, data is considered the new oil. And by the way, these high-speed DRAM memory chips are the containers. They take oil to produce to bake chips. And if Japan and China cannot afford them, because remember, China gets their oil from Venezuela and Iran to countries offline to them, the demand for oil price will go up, which will have ripple effects in everything from transportation to the manufacturing of homes and
hold on, Steve.
Yes, sir.
That would be true whether or not there was a pinch on the oil supply. That would be true either way. You're going to have a higher demand. Right. That's my point. It has nothing to do with the war in Iran. To me, what I see are these companies trying to kneecap the U.S. administration because they don't like President Trump. They don't like a reorder of the world economic pathways, including Venezuela, including Iran. They don't like it a bit. And so when the oil companies, who I think are acting in bad faith, I'll just say it. I think they're acting in bad faith and sticking it to the American consumer and punishing us for electing Donald Trump in many ways. I think there's a lot of truth to that. You say?
I can only point to the Straits of Hormuz, which is 25% of the global oil supply, affecting everybody. So Iran is using their one weapon that they have less because their missiles obviously didn't hit their targets. Their
Navy's at the bottom of the ocean. Their Navy's at the bottom. They don't have much left to block that Strait of Hormuz. I just watched live graphs. The ships are moving again in the Strait of Hormuz.
That's why the oil has come back down from the 100 and change. Right. I'm talking macroeconomics, and if this continues for a long time, Iran not being able to supply or allow ships to go through their straits, this could cause a huge problem. I'm in favor of much lower oil prices, of course, because I want the economy to do great. I was just telling you the worst case scenario.
Fair enough. Good conversation, Steve Abramowitz. Greatly appreciate you being here, sir. We'll talk again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. There you have it. Your thoughts. You can always send me an email, like I said, stevegruber.com, or follow me on social media. Drop your thoughts there. I appreciate it. I am going to go out and say it for the record. I think it's rigged. I think it's a cash grab. I think the oil companies ought to be ashamed of themselves for what they did here. All right, that's where I am with it. Now, don't go anywhere. America's Voice Live will continue after a short break, where I'll discuss a recent study that rates the mortality and ethics of 25 different countries. Yeah, you're going to be surprised where America ranks, coming up on ABL.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of Real America's Voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and use promo code REALAmerica for 15% off. Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
It was the cover-up.
Why would we trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy. It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone...
A quick update on one of our top stories today. Since this program began 44 minutes ago, oil has dropped $8 a barrel. It's now at 87 and falling fast. I told you it was rigged. All right, moving on. A recent study by the Pew Research Center asked people from 25 different countries to rate the mortality and ethics of others, including the United States, of course. And we're looking at the information. The U.S. is the only place surveyed where more adults describe the morality and the ethics of others living in the country as bad. You think your neighbors are terrible. 53% of Americans say that other Americans have bad morals and ethics, versus 43% who say Americans have good morals. Other countries show strong trust in their fellow citizens. So why is the U.S. so far behind? And secondly, is it true? Join me to discuss this, the president of Communio, J.P. DeGance. Sir, how are you?
Steve, great to be with you. Yeah, I think, Steve, there's some self-image stuff going on here that's probably not super accurate, but let's just take it for what it's for what it's worth, right? I think there's some truth to this, and I think there's a complex set of factors that are driving it. And I think if you go causally, the first and foremost is that we've now led the developed world in single parent families, right? And we're first among all developed nations. And, the home ultimately forms the morality of the parent, the morality of the kids. And, you got to have mom and dad in the home. The complementary role of mom and dad forming kids is not as frequent and as present as it has been historically, right? And we also know that faith decline has followed family decline. I have a study out, the nationwide study on faith and relationships showed that the rise in single parent homes preceded and very likely caused the rise of religious non-affiliation. And so historically, sure, Steve, you had places of worship coming alongside parents, helping to form the morality of our kids. And both those things are less and less prevalent than they have been in the past.
Well, that's true. And there has been a resurgence in church attendance the last 12 to 24 months by many metrics. But compared to where it was 25 years ago, no, the drop-off is dramatic. Now, there's some reasons for that. You go back to about 1965, and you see that the government started replacing churches, where churches would come in and help homeless people or those less fortunate and so forth. That's all been replaced by government. Fathers have been replaced by government, also dating back to 1965 with the Great Society. Not so great after all, is it, JP? And I can just keep snowballing on this. You go to the mid-60s, a lot of bad policies came from LBJ that are haunting us today, in my estimation. What are your thoughts?
Look, Steve, Marvin Olasky's book, I think you're hitting on, goes into that a lot in the early 90s. Tragedy, the history of American compassion, unpacks the history of how our America churches really provided the bulwark of charitable help and support, and that did start to get replaced with the New Deal, and then accelerated with the Great Society programs. And then for sure, you had the Great Society replacing dads in the home in so many ways. So that's a big deal. You also had the sexual revolution, Steve. The decoupling of sex from marriage began in 1960, and you started to have then the decoupling of marriage from parenting and parenting from partnering, right? And so today you've got just 46% of all kids today who reach the 18th birthday do so in a home where mom and dad stay continuously married.
Right.
In our churches, 80% of everybody sitting in church is from a married home. And so,
so that's important. But here's the part that we haven't touched on. We only got a minute or two left here, and I want to make sure we're talking. Education plays a role here. When you continue to pound down the throats of kids that America's bad, when you allow Howard Zinn books into the classroom, The People's History of the United States was a complete work of fiction and exaggeration and hate-filled Marxism. When those books are used to educate our children, Howard Zinn is not a historian, he's a criminal fiction writer, in my estimation, and we need to get rid of that garbage and start teaching kids about why America is exceptional. Are we perfect? By no means. But we are the most exceptional nation in the history of this world, the most compassionate too, the most diverse as well, and a whole host of other things. We need to talk about education real quickly. Last word to you.
I don't disagree. Look, our educational system has become heavily indoctrinated in so many ways. Our textbooks, we are taught to frequently in our schools. My niece, who was at a nearby public school, had that Howard Zinn book as a textbook. So that's garbage. Absolutely. And then politics is, the polarization of our politics is also driven by the decline of our faith and the decline of our marriage. You can sort by marriage, your politics, and you can sort by your church attendance. They call it the God gap. So all these things, hugely interrelated. You're right on. I completely agree on curriculum. That's a big factor as well. Yeah.
I had two uses for the Howard Zinn books. Number one, line a bird cage. Number two, train a puppy. Your choice. JP, greatly appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Now, if you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, or reduce swelling in your legs and feet, then you'll love these two American-made health supplements. First is Liver Health Formula. Fat deposits in the liver can pile on the pounds and make you feel tired. Liver Health Formula helps reduce fat deposits with nutrients like artichoke extract and milk thistle. In a customer survey, almost 60% reported better weight management, 87% reported more energy. Next is lymph support. Yeah, the natural ingredients of lymph system support help gently flush extra fluids and toxins out of the body, which can help reduce swelling in the legs and feet. And right now, for a limited time, you can get 35% off Liver Health Formula and lymph system support, all 45-plus health supplements Pure Health Research has to offer. Head over to purehealthresearch.com. Use the coupon code VOICE at checkout. That's purehealthresearch.com. The coupon code VOICE, and save 35% on your order today. After the break, we'll have a story that reminds us of how wonderful America is, plus your answers to our America's Voice question of the day. Are you concerned with gas and oil prices? I wouldn't be. Oil's now down to 83 and falling.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
It was the cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy. It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China. It streams exclusively on Angel Studios app and site starting on October 23rd. And all you need to do is go to angel.com/Rav to stream it. So be ready to watch, question, and share as the quest for truth and accountability continues.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone...
All right. What makes America wonderful? I do it every day with the hopes of putting a smile on your face before you go on with the rest of your day. It's important in these days of all this stress. You need to think about good things. Have some gratitude. Today's story comes to us from Texas, where 9-year-old's empty birthday party turned into a packed celebration, all thanks to the kindness of strangers throughout the community. Isley Marquise had been excited for her birthday party all week, and her mother, Samantha Chamberlain, had gone out of her way to make it very special after being unable to attend last year's birthday because of work. But when the party started, something heartbreaking was taking place. No one was showing up. Even after 30 minutes had passed by, refusing to allow her daughter's big day to end in disappointment, Samantha decided to take a chance and posted on social media asking if anyone in the community would be willing to stop by and celebrate her daughter's big day. Well, before too long, neighbors, community members, even law enforcement began rolling in, filling the restaurant with people who simply wanted to make sure Isley had a birthday to remember. And they didn't come empty-handed. They came bearing gifts, from generic toys to Pokemon cards and even some slime to play with. What could have been a painful memory turned into a reminder that when community comes together, good things happen. It's all thanks to a mother's love and determination to give her daughter a birthday to remember, and boy, did she. And that makes America wonderful today. Put a smile on your face, didn't I? Gotcha. Even you in the back, sir. I see you back there. I got you. All right. Are you concerned with gas and oil prices? Are you? Herb Carlberg, concerned we jumped into an unnecessary war to have unnecessary gas prices now. Well, Herb, I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you, but that's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. Jody Ga, no, not concerned. Maybe it's Jody from Georgia. Anyhow, no, not concerned. They were even higher under Joe Biden, and I trust our president has a plan. As a reminder, oil was $139 a barrel under Joe Biden, for those that don't remember. $139. Now it's back to 83, so a pretty good hour here on the program. AVS says, I am, because we can't afford $5 a gallon. And what will it do to groceries? We haven't recovered from Biden. Also, we have a greed problem because we don't have a supply problem. Exactly right. Wall Street needs a comeuppance. I think the oil companies need a little comeuppance. A little direct phone call from DJT. John Hogan, no, oil shouldn't be up at all. Iranian oil was under sanctions. Not a single tanker has been targeted more or less hit during this military action. It's all based on unjustified fear and manipulation. You're exactly right. You are the smartest viewers in TV. Thank you for the comments here today. Remember, you can be part of this by following me on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, all of those places. Yeah, you can find me there. TikTok, too. Got a new one for you today. You'll enjoy it. I use different words than I use on this program. Just saying. Follow me on social media. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to join me first thing in the morning as we kick off live broadcasting every day on Real America's Voice at 6 a.m. with the Steve Gruber Show. I'll see you then, and then back for ABL.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials and whistleblowers in the most controversial narrative of our time that may also be one of the largest cover-ups in modern public health history.
There was a cover-up.
Why would he trade the Chinese the most advanced biotechnology in the world?
He's a spy.
It's insane.
I don't think this is going to be foolproof. Things are going to slip through.
Fauci knew and lied repeatedly.
Rather than being a partisan hit piece, Thank You, Dr. Fauci is an honest look at the origins of COVID-19 and a potential bioarms race with China.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by patriots for patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind.